What's up, everybody? Happy WNBA offseason. Happy college basketball season eve. I feel like we got a couple weeks before early games kick off, but I'm Jordan Robinson, and I'm here with you guys every week to break down WNBA and women's basketball. Today, we have a very fun topic that I'm so excited to get into. We are going to talk about the duos that I want to see next season. There is so much influx in the offseason. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, probably a million more times. This is going to be the biggest offseason in WNBA history. We have free agency that 90% of the league, the biggest stars, they are free agents. We also have a CBA that is nearing the deadline, which will probably get extended at least 60 more days, depending on how that goes. Expansion teams, two of them. So we're going to have two expansion drafts. That factors into this conversation a lot because if you don't know how expansion drafts work, is the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire are going to be able to pick from the remaining players of the rest of the WNBA rosters that the players haven't been cored, they're not already on a contract, or they aren't protected by the team. So whatever players are left from that, it could be 4 players, could be 5 players from each team. That's how the Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo are going to be able to make their teams. So we don't know what those are yet because we don't know what free agents are signing where. So that's a little harder to predict. But I am going off of what I want. This is about me. This is the duos that I want to see play together next season. Maybe some of them have already played together. Now I want a reunion. Yeah, that's how we're going to talk about it. So maybe some off-season moves are going to happen to make my dreams come true. And I'll break down which ones I want to see. Okay, so here are my list of one half of the duos. And there are some bigger factors that play into these conversations. Okay, so let's start with the first one. The first one is Arike Agumbawale and Jonquel Jones. And I want them to play together, not in Dallas, not in New York. I want them both to go to Toronto. Yes, the Toronto Tempo just signed Sandy Brondello as their new head coach. And the league messed up. They gave Sandy a fresh start with a fresh roster, a whole new team, a whole new expansion team, and she is about to do work. I love this hire. I think this is so important for a expansion team, as we saw last year with the Golden State Valkyries, to get off on the right foot with a great coaching hire. This was perfect. I personally think that Sandy had her pick of where she wanted to go. Did she want to go to Seattle, Dallas, Portland? I know all of them called her, as they should, but she chose the Toronto Tempo. I love this. Now she has to have a team. They need so many things that we can chat about. They need, this was kind of their last piece of the puzzle. But I think that this idea that Sandy could have the reins, she needs a bucket getter. She needs Arike. She needs Arike, and Arike is coming off of her worst season as a pro. I know that is so hard to say and to even think about because Arike has constantly been in all-star conversations. She's been in all WNBA conversations. But this season it just wasn't her year. I was excited to see her play with Paige, and I think a lot of that had to do with the coaching staff at Dallas, which has changed, and we're gonna talk about that in a second. But this idea that Arike and JJ playing with each other in Toronto, I love it. Fresh new start for Arike. She's only played in Dallas. She's been through that turmoil. JJ, this would be her third franchise. She had MVP years in Connecticut, won a championship in New York. Sandy says, "Come on over, JJ. Come to Toronto." I like this duo. I would love to see them play together in new threads, in a new arena, kind of build around them, and they're free agents. So we'll see if they will be able to get them. Um, it's possible that both of these players could be cored by their teams so that their teams are like, you ain't taking our superstars, you ain't taking our stars away. But New York has a plethora of stars. They have Stewie, they have Sabrina. They can't use all of their cores. Somebody's going to get left out, and whoever that player is can go play with Sandy. Honorable mention to pair up with Enrique to go play with Sandy in the Toronto as the number two pick and being one of the top rookies. She still made an all defensive team because Ezzie Magmore gonna play defense. We know that. But yeah, I think Ezzie, maybe she can make the jump. She can make the leap over and play under Sandy once again. All right. Let's go to the chat real quick. Let's go to the chat. I believe that Sandy will pull a Natalie Nakase and get the Toronto Tempo in the playoffs in her first season as coach. Woo! That is a bold statement. I mean, I hope that what we saw with the Valkyries was just the beginning of what expansions can do. Before the Valkyries, you guys know I'm a history nerd for WNBA history. There was only one other expansion team that had a winning record. They weren't even sniffing the playoffs. So if this is a trend that continues and Sandy gets her team in the playoffs and Portland is fighting for a playoff spot, that is so good for this league because it just shows how talented it is. Now, Natalie Nakase did that with a few major role players, but if Sandy could get some stars on her team, that could be fun. Arike and Jonquel, both low motor players that leave a lot to be desired. You need someone to fire them up. They won't fire each other up nor themselves. Interesting. I think of Arike. I mean, did you watch last year's All-Star game when she scored 30 points in a half? I don't even know how you can get more fired up beyond that. Arike is a bucket. Her scoring gets her fired up and gets everybody fired up around her. Jonquel Jones is a finals MVP and a former MVP. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to disagree there. I'm gonna have to disagree there. Hey Jordan, Asia and Jackie are the best duo in the league, top three duo in WNBA history too. Okay, not you coming at me with the history. I think that they are a fantastic duo and they won the championship this year. And I wanted to start the stream off by naming some of my favorite duos from last year. Asia and Jackie would be on that list for sure. But there's so many great duos. I mean, the other one is Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann, which was a great duo, aka the Stud Buds, that we got to see early in. But we're going to get to her in just a second. I'm going to skip down to my last one with Paige Bueckers because it was breaking news right before we got on the stream that Dallas hired a new head coach. I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if you've heard, but Jose Fernandez, he was a longtime coach at South Florida, is now going to be the coach of the Dallas Wings. And he is a first-time WNBA coach, but he has been at South Florida since 2000. So he's been there for a very long time and has proven to make South Florida as one of the best mid-major programs. Now, this is a great transition because in this list, we talked about Courtney Williams. Courtney Williams went to South Florida. This was her head coach, and he has produced quite a few pro players. This is a very interesting story. I just read this again right before we came on. SB Nation had a story, and they talked about how Jose Fernandez was actually going to be the coach last year for Dallas, but he had his contract with South Florida. It was $1 million buyout with his contract. So they couldn't reach that number. And that's why they kind of put it off a year. So you think about the season that Dallas had, and you think about hearing that Chris Koklanis was the backup option because Jose Fernandez was their guy, but they couldn't afford his buyout. That is super interesting. So I think this is more of the Atlanta dream approach of going with someone like Carl Smesko, who has a lot of head coaching experience at the college level, at the mid-major level, and able to bring that into the WNBA. And Carl Smesko was crazy successful last season. So I think this is what they were thinking, and I'm excited to learn more as I dig into this. But when you think about Jose Fernandez coming into this Dallas team, they were 10-32 last year, I believe. You have a superstar in Paige Bueckers. Who is the duo that I want to see for the Dallas Wings? And like I said, we're going to skip to our last one on this list. Paige Bueckers and AZ Fudd. Yes, duh. That is the duo I want to see next year. Now, here's a couple of reasons why for that. First of all, Jose Fernandez, it is also talked about how he is super close with Gino Auriemma. So that is kind of his stamp of approval coming into the WNBA ranks. Gino is a longtime coach. I don't have to go into who Gino is, but him having that stamp of approval on this coach is super helpful. Paige Bueckers, Rookie of the Year, all WNBA, second team as a rookie, all WNBA rookie team. She had a fantastic season, including setting the record for the single game record for a rookie. Not only do I want to see her play with her girlfriend, AZ Fudd, because of the lore, because it would just spin the internet into a spiral for incredible reasons, but also that Gino connection, and also because it's a possibility that this could happen. When we talk about draft picks and we talk about draft lottery, the Dallas Wings have a high chance, high likely to either be that number one pick or definitely a top pick, because in the WNBA, you take the last 2 seasons and that's how you get your draft lottery stock. So if you see a lot of mock drafts out there, they have the Dallas Wings even as a number one pick, like projected, because that's how high percentage wise they have it. Now, we talked about it last week, who my number one college prospect is. It's AZ Fudd. If we are projecting that the Dallas Wings are going to have the number one pick, I would pick AZ. A lot of mock drafts have Lauren Betts there. The Dallas Wings just gave up on a Tierra McCowan and a traditional 5, so I don't know why you would draft a traditional 5 again. So that's just my thought process. I love it. I love it. Paisy would be a great reunion. I love that. That's what you guys are saying in the chat. I just had to say that one because that would just be so good. But moreover, on the Dallas Wings' new coach, I just hope that this season is better than the last. And now I also has me thinking for this second one. So my second one of Courtney Williams, right? Courtney Williams is a player who is very true to not having a ton of loyalty to one team. She's going to go chase the bag. Whoever is giving her the bag in free agency, that's where she's going to go. I know she would want to run it back with Minnesota, but if they ain't giving her that money, she's going to leave. I just have full confidence in that. And I have JJ here as well. I clearly have JJ flying the coop of the Liberty. But when I sent this over to my producer, I didn't have a team. I was like, I don't know what team they could go to. Now, this idea that Courtney Williams, former South Florida coach at Dallas, could Courtney Williams want to go play for her coach again? Maybe. Do they go to the Dallas Wings and say, man, Paige is a bucket. We want to surround ourselves next to Paige. Now, this would have to be Arike leaving. It's a couple of these things would have to happen for this to happen. But Courtney Williams is one of my absolute favorite players. I mean, Lynx fans, I'm with you. I know that you guys fell in love with Courtney Williams and Natisha Hiedeman this past season, but Court has played for so many teams. She's played for the Sun, the Sky, Minnesota, and she's going to leave in free agency if you don't give up that money. So unless y'all are boycotting and telling the Lynx to make sure to pay up, Courtney Williams might be on the move. And Jonquel Jones, again, this was just another one to put here because I think they have played together for Connecticut before. Maybe a little reunion could be fun. And it was great in Connecticut. They kept getting so close. They've been to the finals multiple times. So maybe they link up and they say, you know what? Let's run it back. Let's do this again. So that's my next pick. Okay. For my next option, Kelsey Plum and the LA Sparks. Kelsey Plum was the big free agent last offseason. She was cored by Vegas and they had to trade for her to come to the Sparks. And this is something that may happen again with the duo partner that I want her to be with, and that is Gabby Williams. I think this would be a great pair. I think they would play off of each other super well. And the main thing that I thought about was the Sparks had a decent season. They were almost in the playoffs. And the thing that made them not so great was defense. And Gabby Williams will bring the defense. She's on the first team, all WNBA defensive team. A lot of people are saying she could have been snubbed for DPOY. And KP, I mean, you saw that post-game interview. Even after she made that shot, a buzzer beater, she said on national television, we need to play effing defense. Like, no, she said the full word. They need a defensive force. And I think you get a full season of Cameron Brink that's going to come in the post. Cameron Brink is a shot blocker, but a perimeter defender, yeah, Gabby Williams. She's that girl. She's that girl. KP is also somebody who, kind of crazy that she wasn't even on an all WNBA team. I think that was a little bit of I feel like maybe one of the few snubs. I don't know who I would take off, don't ask me. But Gabby Williams being on a defensive team is exactly who she says she is. Again, Seattle, they know how great Gabby Williams is. They could core her so that she can't leave in free agency or they would have to trade for her. So we'll see how that all unfolds. I would love to see Gabby Williams in Los Angeles. Come on over, Gabby. Playing with KP. Could be fun. Okay, former Spark and a new addition to the Seattle Storm, Brittany Sykes, this past season. I would like to see Brittany Sykes with a Kayla Thornton in Golden State. I think Brittany Sykes is someone that could totally be on the move for free agency. She started last season with the Mystics, was having a great offensive season. Probably, I think her best. These past 2 years have been her best offensive seasons. She's usually known for her defense, but has been on an offensive tear. Kayla Thornton, she is going to come back stronger than ever, and the Valkyries are going to need her. I also think this Valkyrie team is just going to look a lot different next year. They're going to get some free agents because they have proven that Natalie Nakase is a great coach. The fans show up. They are a top-notch organization. It's going to be a very different free agency for them than it was last year when they weren't able to get anybody because they didn't have tradable assets, but they also, it was a risk. It was risky for some players to go to an expansion team. Now, I think Brittany Sykes is one of those players that's like, hey now, what y'all doing? What y'all talking about? You guys need a little bit more scoring. You need a little bit more firepower on defense. Yeah, Brittany Sykes is a great fit. And I want to keep a Veronica Burton, keep a Monique Billings, keep Tiffany Hayes. Like I want Brittany Sykes added to the team that they currently had with some other pieces sprinkled around. And especially they're gonna have, a draft pick as well. So I like this a lot. Sykes, Slim, I want to see you in that violet. Okay? I like this. All right. And my last one that I have here, one of my favorite duos last season, and I think we would all agree, was Marina Mabrey and Sanaya Rivers. Were they dating? Were they best friends? We don't know, but it was so entertaining and it was so different from how Marina Mabrey started the season. She was requesting and demanding a trade. She wanted out of Connecticut, and Sanaya Rivers really changed that tune for her. So this is if Marina Mabrey is still like, hey, Sanaya, you're the best, love you, but I've still got to get out of Connecticut because I'm not about to do another losing season like we did last year. I want Marina Mabrey and Alyssa Thomas to link up in Phoenix. Now, this was a difficult one because I knew that Marina Mabrey, I knew I wanted Marina Mabrey to be on my list, but I wanted to see who is she going to match up with perfectly. And I even asked my husband, I was like, if you could take Marina Mabrey off of Connecticut and put her on any team, where would you put her? And in my mind, I was thinking Vegas or Phoenix. And when he said Phoenix, I was like, yes, they need a knockdown shooter alongside Kalia Copper, who she has played with before, and Satu Sabli, who hopefully we haven't gotten an update on her from her concussion that she suffered in the finals. I hope she's doing well. But someone outside of their big three in Phoenix that can score because we saw that. We saw that in the finals. We saw that in the postseason that Phoenix could play defense. They could get stops, but there were some moments where they struggled to score. And Marina Mabrey she gonna get some shots up. There's not too many shots that she doesn't like, you know. Um, Having that knockdown shooter, having Sammy Whitcomb, if the roster stays the same, I know there's a lot of free agents. Having Sammy Whitcomb come off the bench and relieve a Marina Mabrey, I think is super beneficial. I really like this. The other option or the honorable mention would be a Marina Mabrey and an Asia Wilson. Like having Marina be the starter and keeping Jewel coming off the bench. So this is if the aces stayed the exact same, adding Marina Mabrey to the Kirsten Bell starting role. I would be very curious to see how that would work because of that knockdown shooter. I think I like Phoenix more than Vegas because I don't think she would get a ton of minutes in Vegas or a ton of shots. And as we've seen Marina demand trades or want to get out of situations, I think that's in part because of those reasons. When she was in Dallas, when she was in Chicago, she definitely wants to be a top option. So I think in Phoenix, she can be one of those top options. She ain't gonna be the number one, but I think it could be a good one, and I think they could win. I think they could win a lot of games. So Marina Mabrey, Alyssa Thomas, I like it. I like it. And then I had Paige Bueckers and AZ Fun. Okay. I see that you guys have some thoughts in the chat. So let's see. Let's see. Mabry and AT works. She can spray out to Marina to splash some threes. I agree. AT's assists are going up. Phoenix gets more of an offensive weapon. If teams zone them, you have a shooter. I like it. Oh, now that sounds great. AT and Marina. Yeah, yeah. I like that. Yes, I like that. Yes, we do know they are dating. This is going back to Sanaya Rivers and Marina Mabry. I don't think so. I feel like I just saw on TikTok that they finally said, "Yeah, we were trolling you guys." Maybe I read that wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Whatever it is, they're happy. If they happy, I'm happy. Okay. Um, Satu is out and about. She's fine. She was pictured with another hooper. Okay, great. Love the detective work. I don't feel like we saw, and maybe I missed it, uh, the Mercury's exit interviews. So I think a lot of people are really concerned with how the medical staff handled Satu when it was a concussion, just like lifting her up and not letting her be on a stretcher or wheeling her out because it was a head force trauma. So I think a lot of people were just concerned because of what happened, and then we haven't heard from her since. So yeah, I don't think KT and Slim fit. Neither are great shooters. Spacing would be bad. Okay, I don't think they have to be the shooters. KT is pretty solid from three-point line, and then you have Veronica Burton and you have other shooters around them. But when you think about the defensive presence, I love those two together. Um, and yeah, you don't have to be all those things. I think Sykes, what we saw in Seattle is that she is a very true slasher. Like she will drive to the basket, she will cut, and that worked with a Skylar Diggins on the perimeter, a Gabby Williams who's not a great shooter. I think it was able to space the floor in a really good way. I think the Valkyries will definitely need more pieces, but I love them having a Veronica Burton and a Xanda Lassini, who they are the shooters, so wouldn't need to be. But that's just my opinion. Thank you for participating in the chat. Let's recap before I head out, okay? WNBA duos that I want to see next season together through free agency, through somehow, some miracle. I want these players to come together. First, Arike Gumbawale and Jonquel Jones. I want them to go with Sandy Brondello to the Toronto Tempo because why not? I think Arike, coming off of her worst season as a pro, wants a fresh start. I know she loves to play with Paige, but this idea that she could be maybe the face, the focal point of a new expansion team, let's do it. JJ, not every Liberty player can get cord, so I think she's on the move. I think she loves Sandy. I think she follows her to Toronto. This will be her third team. She's not afraid to move around. Next is Courtney Williams and Jonquel Jones. I don't know what team they reunite on. They used to play together with the Connecticut Sun. Could they go to Dallas because Courtney Williams, former college coach from South Florida, is now the new coach for the Dallas Wings? Maybe. Maybe. This would fit their MO of what they were trying to do last year is kind of play more small ball, not have a traditional big. Jonquel Jones loves to step out and shoot the three. It's my love-hate relationship with her. So maybe this could work. For the Los Angeles Sparks, I want Kelsey Plum and Gabby Williams to get together. Gabby Williams would be that defensive presence that the Sparks need. Sparks were in the bottom tier of defensive rating as a team. They definitely need to step up their defense. I think you get a full season with Cameron Brink. She's going to take care of the paint. We need a perimeter solid defender who can also go on a scoring tear themselves. That's Gabby Williams. I think her and KP would play off each other super well. Brittany Sykes. Go to the Golden State Valkyries with Kayla Thornton. Sure. That would be a blast. I think Sykes spent half of her season in Seattle, the other half with the Washington Mystics. She is definitely not afraid to leave the coop, go somewhere else. She's been on multiple teams, and I think she could be an offensive force, but also love Natalie Nakase's emphasis on defense. I think yeah, maybe the pairing is more Natalie Nakase and Brittany Sykes because I just think they would work together really well. Then Marina Mabrey and Alyssa Thomas. Marina Mabrey, go to Phoenix. Yeah, I love this pairing. I think they need a knockdown shooter. We saw it in the postseason that there were some dry spells on the offensive end. Marina Mabrey, there's not a shot she doesn't like. She will let it fly. AT's assists go up. She averages more triple doubles. Everybody's happy, and they're winning more games. Last one is just a personal one. Paige Bueckers and AZ Fudd. Yes, let's reunite them in Dallas because Dallas has the chances of a very high lottery pick in the draft, possibly even the first draft pick overall. How incredible would that be if that was AZ? A lot of mock drafts have Lauren Betts, but again, like I said last week in the stream, AZ is my top prospect coming out of college. I love this idea that Paisley can be reunited as pros. Okay, that's my list. Thanks, guys, so much for hanging out, chatting duos with me. And I'll be back again to chat all things women's hoops next week. Bye.